Scene collection. Give me YouTube Live Control Panel. And where's my chat? Let's go. Wah! Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to the very first people in the chat. How are you doing this fine, fine day? I'm actually early for once because I was actively filming another reaction video when I realized it was 11:45. So we're taking a slight break, and then I'm going to go back to filming that. If you're on the Patreon, it's the Generation X movie from the 1990s. I don't know what made me think I could just react to an hour and 40-minute movie the same way I react to one episode of TV, but it has taken me 4 hours so far, and I'm about halfway through. For context, a 20-minute episode of television usually takes me about an hour to an hour and a half. So, yeah. But this is just for Patreon. I don't know how I'm going to edit it all either, because it usually takes me a day to edit the 20-minute ones. Enjoyed a good reaction, and now I'm here. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here to talk about it with me. How did everyone like the Gambit episode? I thought it was a good, fun time. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be when it started. when it kicks off with him drugging Rogue and kidnapping her to Louisiana, I thought it was going a bad direction. I think it turned out fine. It is a little funny to me that I got so much wrong. So much of what I said just turned out to be the point of the show. Hopefully, can also get one of the X-Men animes. The X-Men animes are coming after Wolverine and the X-Men. So it's going to go Wolverine and the X-Men until March, I think, is how much it schedules out. There'll only be 12 episodes of that because there's only 20 episodes of the actual show, or 26 episodes of the actual show. But 12 weeks of X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men, and then we will do the X-Men animes on YouTube. A bit weird of a start, ended okay. For seriousness. Which comic book characters who are traditionally shaved look better with beards in your opinion? Gambit, I think, is up there. I think every now and then they give Gambit a beard. It's fun. Kurt, Nightcrawler, it looks great with a beard. Colossus looks good with a beard. Captain America looks good with the beard. Doctor Strange, I guess he always has a goatee, but when he rocks a full beard, he looks good. The Thing in the movie, I thought actually looked pretty good with the beard. I think the beard in the film made him look more like a person. It was less Uncanny Valley when he had the beard versus when he was just normal Thing. What happened to Teen Titans? We're doing that one too. We're going to go Mondays, Wolverine and the X-Men, Fridays, Teen Titans, Wednesdays, if I can do what I want to do over December, we're going to have another show. Surprise show on Wednesdays. That'll be in January, though. Love your work, bro. This was huge in India when I was growing up, and all I'm going to say is the biggest Psycho fan in the school. Me, married the biggest Gene fan last year. Well, that's adorable. I'm very happy for you. The Rocky Beard was actually a solid choice. I think they had to do it so he looks better. That's my conspiracy theory about that film. Me and my wife both enjoy your videos so much. Keep up the good work, bro. Thank you very much. I hope you all like the finale. The finale's up on Patreon right now. It is, I think, my best one that I've done. I'm very happy with it. And just so you know, Monday, when the finale drops here, we'll do an after show like this, but it'll probably be extra long. I think it'll be 2 hours. We'll maybe do some rankings. I made a thumbnail for it, which I don't usually do. We'll do some rankings. We'll talk about the whole series. Maybe some sporkles I think might exist in the world. It's going to be fun. Will you react to X-Men from 1992 at some point? Probably not. Only because it's so fucking long. And I just recently rewatched it for 97. What was the deal with Dani's accent in the last episode? Wasn't even a Rez accent. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was the deal with any of Dani's characterization in that episode. She was fun as a character. I don't know what was going on. The music cue was also crazy. The hawk or whatever. It was okay. Sad X-Men is over. We're not done with the X-Men. We're only done with X-Men Evolution. And we got Wolverine and the X-Men, which will have the usual comic dumps. Though I feel like at some point I'm just going to start repeating them. And then we'll have Teen Titans, which will not. And I'm a little nervous about it because the thing everyone tells me they like is the comic rants. And I don't have any of that for Teen Titans. So maybe no one will like Teen Titans and then we'll get to the X-Men anime faster because I'll give up on Teen Titans. It was so weird to get Dani like 3 episodes from the finale. The episode before the finale. The finale is a 2-parter. And Dani's the last episode before it. And also, spoiler alert, she's not in it. So what was the point? I will say this, for those who are watching along with me, there is one character of the 10 that were introduced in the last few episodes of this season. There is one character who got a spotlight that does matter so much in the finale, and it made me so fucking happy. But the rest don't factor in at all. Teen Titans from 2003, yes. Yes, well, the episodes were great. These last 2 episodes aged weird at best and poorly at worst. Yeah, I mean, I still think the Cajun Spice episode holds up. I think it's a very Gambit and Rogue issue. It's just because they're not in a romance. And to be fair, in the early 2000s, I don't think they were together anyway in the books. Because you're doing Teen Titans on Fridays, and that's when we have the post-show, we can comic rant to you. Exactly. I'm hoping the post-show is going to be it's going to become the post of the entire week. My dream is to post Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Maybe even Sunday. And then Friday post-show will be the cap for everything. Sorry if you've answered this already, but will you get X-Men 97 need more Gambit in my life? Probably not reactions, because I know the show so well. And I probably won't react to season 2 because I want to watch it at different points. I'm really gutted to get to that premiere, guys. I went to the 97 season 1 premiere as a guest of a friend of mine who knew I loved the X-Men and hooked me up. But I'm getting on better terms with Disney's press people. As also on the Patreon is my full interview with the Zootopia cast and crew. That'll be dropping here in a few days. So get hyped for that. But yeah, so I'm hoping to get to that premiere, which would mean I'd watch the first 3 or 4 beforehand, so there'd be no real point in reacting. And then I went to a party for the finale of the last season, just that was being thrown downtown, and I want to go to a party again too, because that was a really fun time. So I don't know if I'll react to X-Men 97 season 2. I do think I'll do breakdowns. That might be the Wednesday posts leading up to 97 season 2, whenever they announce when the fuck it's coming out, is I'll break down each episode of season 1, and then maybe break down season 2 as it's coming out. We'll see. If there was a Gambit solo show, would you rather an origin show or a current age show? Not an origin. I think Gambit is the character who least needs an origin story, to the point that when they gave him one, it was already told in flashback as if it was a thing everyone knew. His origin is Romeo and Juliet, but with a small twist. You don't need it. You can just explain what happened like they do every time they do a guild story. Have you ever heard of the game X-Men The Ravages of Apocalypse? No, which is basically a Quake mod where you fight the X-Men? No, I've not heard about that, but it sounds fun. Have you seen the character design of Emma Frost and Psylocke, who would have been Evolution if it got another season? I have not. This is the kind of thing I think I'll Google during the final after show on Monday, is we'll look into all that kind of stuff. What could have been. Yes, breakdowns are good too. Thank you for feeding the starved Gambit fan. Of course, it's what I'm here to do. I will say we're probably not going to play any Marvel Rivals on this show, just because I got to get back to filming, so I can make my Patreon video. Fun fact to my lovely patrons, I have almost 1,000 of you now, and I love you all. I have not posted a Patreon exclusive since before I started making reaction videos. The only Patreon exclusive, or just 2 technically, there's a cooking show from when I made my old Gambit video. And then there's Hoodwinked reaction. Hoodwinked 2. My reaction to Hoodwinked 2, which I did to test out reactions to see if I could make it how I would make this series. And so then this entire series happened, and now I'm finally making another exclusive. I'm hoping to speed that process up in the future. Evolution should have gotten the 97 treatment, or at least a comic book to finish the story. I do think there is a comic. I have not looked into it because I didn't want to be spoiled for anything, but I do think there is a comic for X-Men Evolution. What's really weird about Teen Titans is that people who shipped Raven and Beast Boy in the show eventually made it canon in the comics, even though that was not at all a thing in the show. It's not a thing in the show. That's actually huge news to me because I only think of them as a couple. I played a little bit of Marvel Rivals, but I'm bad at aiming, so I play melee characters, Wolverine and the Thing mostly. That's how I started too. And I would say I'm bad at aiming now because my controller goes. But I can blame my controller, so it's better. To be honest, I didn't even know we were getting exclusives when I joined the Patreon. Hey, that's okay. That's good, actually, because that means you weren't expecting it. I think officially on there it says something like bi-weekly. My bad. I hope to get that, to get to that point. My dream, and again, don't hold me to this because it's a dream. My dream is to do the Gifted as an entirely Patreon post. We'll see if that happens. Do you have more ideas for longer comic videos like your Gambit video, or are they Omega? This is the first video I saw of yours that got me hooked. Yes, I do. They just take so long to make, even without the reactions. Like, I'm really busy editing reaction videos now, which is why those have taken a bit of a backseat. But I do, like, beforehand, they took me over a month to make in general. So, like, it just takes a while. But I have some ideas. I just gotta wait for, like, I have a lot of rants that I wanted to make that I made immediately. That's what, like, those 2 Gambit videos, I didn't even really need a script because I just knew them in my head. Now I have to, like, go back and read all the comics to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't read wikis when I make videos like that. I just read the comics because I feel like if I'm just reading a wiki and then repeating the wiki, then it doesn't need to exist as content. So, yeah. The Gifted is in the show or the comics? The show. The Gifted would be fun. I hadn't seen it yet, but I think Lorna is in it, and I like her in the comics. Yeah, it's like Lorna and Fenris and a bunch of other weirdos. It's so interesting. Oh my god. Out of Beak Glob, Forget Me Not, and that one X-Men kid who just explodes. Who do you think has the worst power? The explode one. Obviously. Beak looks like a bird. Not even that bad. He's got a hot wife. He's fine. Glob, gooey skeleton man. Everyone loves him. They think he's cute. Forget Me Not, existential horror. Took 1 second by Forge to fix forever. Bomb guy, you're just a guy. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Forget Me Not might have it worse. Because yes, Forge managed to fix it fast, but Bomb guy is just a guy. And I don't know if just being a guy is a worse fate than never being remembered. Forget Me Not has it worse. My bad. What's a comic run that I honestly, first of all, someone said I'm a fan of The Gifted, but it's not necessarily good. I have to be for real. I don't know if it would matter to me. I'm watching Generation X right now. Like, I literally paused it. It might be behind my screen. It is. I literally paused it to film or to do this live. I like it. It's terrible, but it's fun. This dude is the hammiest man of all time. Will you still do Hulk versus Wolverine since Wolverine the X-Men does flashbacks to it? Yes, I am doing Hulk versus Wolverine. I'm filming that Sunday. Or actually, I'm probably editing this Patreon video Sunday, but I'll film Hulk versus Wolverine Monday. Next up, I guess I should just announce this now since X-Men Evolution is coming to an end. Next up is the Friday after X-Men Evolution. We're going to take a bit of a break. I think I'll post a compilation or something. My Zootopia review will come out sometime that week. Not review, but interview. Post that, we're doing Hulk versus, and then ideally, if I have time to actually film and edit all this shit, the next Avengers, the little kids movie. And that'll be 2 parts on YouTube, 1 part on Patreon. But yeah, that's the dream, that's the goal. After that, we start up Wolverine the X-Men and Teen Titans. I have Wolverine the X-Men. I bought it, so I can now watch that on DVD, and I'm going to have to go get Teen Titans Season 1. What are your thoughts on White Jubilee and Gen X? The actress was cast as Boom Boom originally, I believe. Oh, I didn't know she was cast as Boom Boom originally. That's fascinating, because Jubilee's in Generation X and Boom Boom's not. However, I think she's doing a fine job. It's bonkers she's not Asian. I will say the Evolution comics are not a continuation. They're like between adventures plus origins for some characters like Storm, Jean, and Scott. That's kind of fun. Origins. I'm so excited for those movies. They were a big part of my childhood. Me too. I know not everyone's going to agree with this, but personally, I only ever found Jubilee interesting when she was a vampire. I think Jubilee's very fun as a child. I think with a lot of the X-Men characters who are like the kid on the team, once they stop being the kid, they get inherently less interesting. Like Kitty as well. I think Kitty, when she's 12 and on the X-Men, is an amazing character. I think Kitty now is kind of floundering. Similar with Jubilee. Jubilee, they also gave a kid. Worst idea possible. Boom Boom and Jubilee are kind of vaguely similar vibes. I kind of get that as a pivot. I mean, yes, they are. But, like, again, Boom Boom's not in the book. Like, it's weirder to have Boom Boom than it is to have Jubilee. You know? The cast, again, I'm spoiling this, but it's going to be on the Patreon anyway. But the cast of the Gen X movie is crazy. Because it is Skin, Monet, a guy who's clearly supposed to be Everett, but is playing Mondo, Emma, end of list. Jubilee shows up. 2 new characters show up. I guess they couldn't afford to do Paige or Chamber. Yeah. I'm very curious when you get to Hulk versus Thor, just because I don't think I've ever heard you express a Thor opinion. I don't have a ton of Thor opinions. That's what, when we get away from the X-Men, you're going to see a lot less of this, like, me just ranting off the dome about comics, because when I make my other videos, I, like, read all those books so that I know what I'm talking about and can express intelligent thoughts. I don't just have all that stored away, except for the X-Men. The X-Men, I can do it off the dome in a reaction-style setting. So, I don't know. I hope people like me responding to the other Marvel shows. We'll see. Hey, I like Shogo. I got nothing against the kid. I just think as a character, having Jubilee now be a mom who's constantly having to give her kid to people so she can go do adventures, and then the whole time she's on adventures being like, God, I gotta get home to my kid, was bad for the character. Plus, she was an assassin and a pirate. I don't know what you were originally saying. I think Kitty still works as an adult because she's got her weird romantic tension with Emma Frost. Here's the thing. The tension with Emma Frost, the pirate, and the ninja thing is exactly what I'm talking about with her being floundering. They reinvent Kitty every single time there's a new book. Kitty has no consistent personality or character to a truly hilarious degree. Whether it was coming into Krakoa to do the pirate thing and then immediately pivoting into ninja and now being like the burnout with Emma Frost, like she's literally... Everyone who takes up Kitty Pryde is like, all right, well, now I want to do this version of Kitty Pryde. And so there's never any follow-through with any of her arcs, and it's kind of annoying. I think she's done incredibly dirty. The stories themselves are good. Marauders is a good story. Shadowcat, Fall of X, I didn't care for as much. But the current, Exceptional is also good. There's no sense of, organic growth to her, I feel like. It's always like, all right, we need it to be this version now, so here's a hard reset. How do you go from being so hardcore to protecting mutants that you become an assassin ninja and then go and be like, I don't even want to call myself an X-Man. I'm done with all this superhero nonsense. I don't know. I think Kitty, when she was the kid on the team, had a plot and had an archetype and had an arc that fit her. And now they have been trying to find one for decades. This sounds like when they gave Venom a son and then he had to go get put in a bunker 3 times so Venom can show up in crossovers. Exactly. You may be disappointed that Gambit and Wolverine the X-Men has 0 interest in Rogue. I'll be fine, I think. A pair of reactions that could be fun. The Ultimate Avengers movies show especially how messed up the OG Ultimates were. I didn't know those existed. I didn't know we had Ultimate movies. Is Avengers Minus Hero on the table for these? It's on the table. It would come, if it happens, it would come after Wolverine the X-Men and then the 2 animes. That's going to be, Wolverine the X-Men plus the 2 animes is going to take about as long as Teen Titans takes. This is all going to go to, I think, June? It's so weird to schedule all the way out to next June, but it'll go until about next June. And then I don't know where we go from there. I'm kind of thinking of maybe doing a show that's not superhero related, just because I think I want to expand this concept wider, but we're gonna see. It might be Avengers Earth Minus Heroes. I don't know. Honestly, I think Jubilee is a decent character, but I think she's the worst X-Kid relative to Kitty, Armor, and even Pixie. See, I would put her over Armor and Pixie any day of the fucking week. Yeah, no. I'd go, it's Kitty, Jubes, Quentin, everyone else. Distant bottom. Everyone who only existed to do Kitty again. Ending here, Clayton, the scene of Xavier's nightmare being an army of humans going after the mansion goes hard. Easily the most slept on scene of the show. It's a good scene. That's a really prescient moment for Xavier. In your humble opinion, is Magneto a good dad? No, he's a terrible dad. Magneto, fandom interpretation of Magneto has kind of now like crept back into the comics where he's like a nice dad. He's a bad dad. He's a horrible father. And this is the thing I try to remind people is like they had this very touching moment in the new Trial of Magneto where Magneto's like tells Wanda like you will always be my daughter. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related to me. Like we choose to be family. That's cute and all. He didn't even choose to be family when they were biologically related. He met Wanda and Pietro when they were adults while blackmailing them. Was like, ah, shit, you're my kids. And then was like, hey, you're my kids. Shape up and act like my kids. And then found out they weren't even his fucking kids. I see no reason in universe, without like the fandom just loving it, why he would then be like, hey, we're still good though. Like, you're still my children. No, he wouldn't. As far as the Marvel goes, it's been like 5 years. He just briefly thought these people were his children. But you know, that's how it is. But no, he's a shitty ass dad. Even to Polaris, who's like now his biological kid, despite having never been for 40 years. He's bad to her too. He's not nice. He had one daughter that he loved. She died. Anya, I think her name was. She died. Rip, goodbye. Magneto's been a dick ever since. Raven kind of had a crush on Dick Grayson. Oh, I've seen in the animated movies her have a crush on Damian, which I thought was funny. I dislike erasing characters' flaws and bad actions because they are more sympathetic, a good guy now. He was a good dad to Anya too. I just mentioned Anya. What comic book cartoon has your favorite intro? Mine is Spectacular Spider-Man or maybe 2003 Teen Titans. It's not a comic book, but Avatar has the best intro, obviously. Comic book cartoon, X-Men, probably. It's hard to beat that intro. I like Magneto, but fandom has such a weird characterization for him. He's just been scrubbed clean of the bad stuff. Don't even get me started on Rogue times Magneto. See, now this is where I would also put, like my earlier comment, like the first half of your comment, I would also apply to Rogue and Magneto. I think fandom has made Rogue and Magneto weirder than it ever actually was. Magneto is Rogue's other love interest. He has been for 40 years. He was before Gambit and her ever dated. Like, it's one of the oldest relationships in X-Men. You're probably not going to like Wolverine the X-Men Gambit. Mags is a shit dad, but a pretty decent grandpa. At least a Wanda Speedster kid. He's an alright grandpa. And I think that's always the way, isn't it? Like, the shitty fathers are somehow good grandfathers. Personally, I like Damian and Raven more than Beast Boy and Raven. They just have a lot more common, and I like seeing two generally sad loners find comfort in each other. I will say, all I know of the Teen Titans, at all, is from the animated movie. And Teen Titans go to the movies. I fully expect Raven to be my favorite character. I will be shocked if she's not. I think I will also like Beast Boy. So I'm assuming I will end up shipping these two together. The issue with Damian and Raven is Damian doesn't deserve happiness. Seeing as we got Final Attractions Wolverine in 97, do you think that means he'll be War in season 2? Maybe. I'm still unsure how they're handling Apocalypse in terms of the timelines. It's not the same to like a fictional character than to like a person. Agreed. So you can like a character because they make the story interesting, not because they are good. Agreed. I disagree. Raven should be Ace, like they clearly used to be written as. Again, wouldn't know. Open to it. Damien is also my personal favorite Robin, so I am biased to be fair. I'm fine with Damien. I'm okie dokes with Dames. Do you have a favorite Robin? My favorite in theory is Tim. In practice, it's probably Dick. Raven usually is like twice as old as Damien. Yeah, the movies had a very specific vision. Shaka-laga-laga-laga-laga-loo. I mean, I like Sabretooth as a character and fun villain. Genuinely one of the worst people in Marvel morally and ethically. Oh yeah, he's the devil. Revoke Nito. It's weird in the context of 97 when it's implied he met her when she was a teenager and he was a fully grown, but I'm sure in some comics the dynamic isn't as weird. In the comics, it's not as weird. They are both adults, but also in the show, she's not a teenager. Like, that's not implied, actually. And I think what it is that there's a plot hole in Mystique appearing as her mother in that scene. But, like, they're explicitly, it's not that long ago that the Savage Land bit's supposed to be happening in that show. Like, she's arguably older in 97 than she is at that moment in the comics. Because Rogue premieres in the comics at 17. And now the romance with Magneto is like 10 years after that. So she's like 20-something. But, like, she's clearly the same age as every other X-Men in 97, which is vaguely older 20s, maybe 30. I don't know. But I would argue she's potentially older in the show than she is in the comic. I feel like if I rewatch Teen Titans now, I'd probably hate it. That's what I thought about X-Men Evolution, and then I was immediately sucked back in. So you know what? Who knows? Do you think X-Men 97 will eventually canonize Magneto's name being Max Eisenhart? Yes, I do. To my knowledge, the 90s show only ever called him Magnus. They never even got to Eric. I think they will call him Max, for sure. I think there are things about Magneto that are so popular in pop culture that were true for such a short period of time. Genosha is one I think of a lot. He was only in charge of Genosha for 2 real-life years, which in the comics is like nothing. You first time, to my knowledge, that you actually see his Genosha, it's getting exploded. There's like a fill-in comic later that's like about him leading it. To my knowledge, it's never really explored while he's running it. But he runs Genosha. That's one. And then his name. He's called Eric, I think... I made a video on this. I gotta remember the dates. But I think he's called Eric early 90s. By mid-90s, they've already established it was an alias that's not his real name. They have a comment about like, oh, you thought that like he just gave you his real name? He changed it when he got out of the camps or something. And then in 2008 or 2005, whatever, they tell you his real name is Max. But like, that was still a good bit after we learned Eric wasn't his name. But people just like the Eric. I think it's from the movies. He's Eric in the movies, right? So people know him from the movie. If 97 keeps going, are there any comic storylines you'd want to see loosely adapted? Personally, I want U-Men, The Cure, and maybe God Loves Man Kills. I would love God Loves Man Kills. I don't think we'll ever see it. Not in like beyond like the X2 kind of way. If I could see something from X-Men 97, I guess the U-Men's an interesting one. The thing is, the 90s show does cover a lot of the old arcs. I don't know if we ever got Brood. If we could ever do the Brood, I think that'd be fun. What's the character essay you want to make once you can make them again? I've had a lot in my mind. One is talking about who the longest X-Man is. Or longest serving X-Man is. Oh my god, for some reason I cannot read right now. I'm trying so hard. Didn't know they haven't read a ton of comics. I didn't know how long ago they made the flashback. Oh yeah. So that was a long conversation ago. Think Legacy Virus will ever get adapted into anything? Yes, but I wouldn't honestly I wouldn't be surprised if it's in 97. The Legacy Virus is AIDS, like very clearly, but I think it could also easily be reworked into like a COVID thing. It could also just be AIDS. I don't know how serious 97 season 2 is going to be. Obviously, season 1 was very serious. But then they changed creative teams. So now I don't know what we're doing. Isn't the Brood episode the one with Cody? Maybe. I may not remember it. What is the best place to get Marvel comics? Online, Marvel Unlimited. Not online, your local comic book store. What plotline you never expected to be adapted? I never expected Operation Zero Tolerance. Bastion being such a good villain was insane. I guess the one thing I would not have expected to be adapted that I think is also coming in the next season of 97 is Onslaught. That's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of X-Men plotlines beyond the 90s, and I will say my knowledge of this franchise drops off in the 2000s until we get back to Krakoa. 97 names Magneto as Eric Lenscher in the Magneto Protocols folder in the finale. Oh, well, maybe they'll call him Max too. Who knows? Marvel Unlimited is €10 a pound. I assume them in a month for anyone who wants to get it. I will say that Marvel Unlimited dollars, it's like $60 for the year. It's amazing. For like every single comic. Do you think we were getting a Young Avengers in the MCU? I am begging for it. No, I don't. And if we do, it'll be like the rebooted one. Because they got too old. They waited too long. How old do you guys think what is her name? Iman Vellani? Imani Vellani? That can't be her name. Iman Vellani. How old do you think she is? She's 23 right now. How old do you think the Kate Bishop is? Haley Steinfeld. Age. Haley Steinfeld is almost 30. Who else is in this? Riri Williams, actress. Oh no, isn't Joe Locke? He's Wiccan, right? Isn't that his name, Joe Locke? Yeah. Joe Locke, 22. So he's kind of still young. None of these people are teenagers. And they haven't even started making the movie yet. So that means like by the time we actually get the Young Avengers movie, if they film it like now, it'll be like 25-year-olds and up. Absurdity. They don't have to call them the Young Avengers. Well, I'm saying in terms of if we're getting a Young Avengers movie, yes, they could call it The Avengers and then just have a bunch of young adults. But like, that's not the Young Avengers then. It's The Avengers. I think Marvel Zombies gave us our best glimpse of Young Avengers in the MCU. And honestly, we might see them again in animation. But that's where they're going to have to live because they took too long. If X-Men would have had another letter instead of X, what would it be? What a crazy question. I don't know. The C-Men for Charles? I feel like Marvel would benefit with an animated movie franchise like DC. Me too. I think the MCU got too all-encompassing. I like that while the DCEU was floundering, the DCAU was doing good. I think DC's learning the wrong lesson from that. Because now they're trying to have both and make them the same thing. And it's just... I want to be able to just watch my movies. Did you post your thoughts on Marvel Zombies? I don't think I saw your take on it. I didn't know. I haven't posted like an actual like film review or like TV review ever. I don't think. Maybe I should. Oh yeah, because Disney has never cast 25-year-olds as teenagers before. I mean, they can, but why would you? Like, again, do you want to see the Young Avengers or do you want to see a movie called Young Avengers that is not the Young Avengers? Like, I don't understand the question at that point, I guess. I thought we were talking about a Young Avengers movie. They could make a movie with a bunch of 30-year-olds and call it the Young Avengers. I don't think that's the same thing. DCAMU, and Nikhil, come on, the DCAU was the BTAS continuity. Well, that's absurd. That's an absurd distinction to have to make, but okay. Have you read the new Marvel Zombies Red Band comic? I have not. A review after you finish the shows you react to? Oh, I don't know if I'll do that. That seems unnecessary. All of my thoughts on X-Men Evolution have been made very clear, I feel like. I do a little goodbye at the end that kind of sums it up. I think that's going to be the best I get. Maybe you should read the Judas Contract in preparation for Teen Titans. I have it. It's somewhere here. I've been told to read it between seasons 2 and 3, and I think I might do that because it allows me to procrastinate. I think we just like the characters from the Young Avengers lineup. Okay, then yes. I think we will see those characters again. I'm sorry I misunderstood the question. I think we will see Wiccan, Kamala, Hawkeye, and Riri in movies. I don't know if in the same movie, and I don't know if even if we do, if it'll be called Young Avengers, but I think we will see them in things. I don't think they're going away forever. I am curious how big of a role Wiccan's going to play, seeing as they introduced him in Agatha, which was not like one of their premiere shows, but also I feel like they wanted it to be. Like, I think they thought that Agatha was going to be one of their premiere shows, you know, because WandaVision was like their biggest thing, and this was the spinoff. It just took too long and no one watched it. But like Wiccan should be a big deal. And I feel like in Doomsday, he might be a big deal. Honestly, I would just restructure a lot of the recent MCU feels like they made a bunch of random shit and are now trying to cram it together. And if they had just planned it a little better, it would have worked better. Like Wiccan should have been the kid in Doctor Strange, not America, you know? And then like the reveal should have been that he's the fucking re-embodiment, what do you call it? Reincarnation of Wanda's son. Like that would have fit in Multiverse of Madness. And then he would have learned magic with Doctor Strange, and he'd be like already queued up to take over as Doctor Strange, because I don't think we're getting any more Doctor Stranges. I think Benny Boy wants out. And come, like, we're going to need to start introducing legacy heroes, because the MCU is having a graying problem. And they're going to want, one, the actors aren't going to want to play them forever, and two, they're going to need to, like, you know, time passes. Time doesn't pass in comics. It passes in movies, and that's just life. So I think they're going to start needing legacy characters, and Wiccan would have been the fucking easiest one to sub in for Doctor Strange. And no, they didn't do it. They did America Chavez instead. Okay. Pretty sure Kate Bishop is 23 in canon in Hawkeye, so she'd be like 26 in canon anyway in a Young Avengers movie. That's older than Spider-Man and the regular Avengers by so much. Yeah, exactly. Exactly! Haley Steinfeld was an insane cast for Kate Bishop, if this was the plan. She's so much older than even all the other people playing the Young Avengers. Like, she's a good Kate Bishop. That was crazy. Also, where's my Kate Bishop PI show? Why introduce her and then not give me a whole TV show of Kate Bishop PI? Come on. Have you ever heard of that teenage superhero high school House of Harkness? I've heard of House of Harkness. I have not heard that it was a teenage high school. That's fun. You love absurd distinctions. I do. This is true. That's a very fair call out. Oh my God. Views 425, but only 115 concurrent viewers. I thought for a second that there were 400 people in here, and I was going to feel bad about leaving in a little bit. You need to read New X-Men from After Day. It is written by the people who did X-Men Evolution. Super intense. So much pull from the other. I've read New X-Men. I don't know what From After Day means. Have you watched Daredevil Born Again? I watched the first 2 episodes and turned it off because I hated it. So it was terrible. There's some shows I do DNF. Daredevil Born Again and the Avatar live action. I could not stomach either. Isn't MCU Spidey 18 after No Way Home? Sure. That's still less than 26. I think the plan to use America is to fight against Kang, but that story got scrapped, so now they're pivoting to Wiccan and other stuff. Oh, that's true. That's a fair shout. I forgot Kang was going to be the guy. They mean after M-Day. Oh, yeah, I've not read almost anything after M-Day. I've read bits of X-Men Volume 3? The one where Gambit goes blind. I honestly didn't think you hated anything. I don't hate a lot. My father makes fun of me because he says I like every movie. And that's kind of true. I do like a lot of things that most people don't like. But there are things that are too much for me. I thought Daredevil Born Again was straight butt. I really could not. I got to like episode 3 and I was like, this is angering me to watch this. Have you seen The Legend of Korra? I have. I have. All right, this is gonna sound what do you call it? Like name droppy. But I was chatting about this with Dani the other day, and apparently we have complete polar opposite views because I think that Korra got better as it went. I feel like it didn't become a real like solid show until near the end. And apparently that is not the popular take because he is the opposite. But like I don't think even like Bo Lin, I don't think became a character until season 3. But yeah, I think season 2 of Korra is terrible. I think season 1's fine as like a standalone. But season 3 and 4 were the only ones that really made it feel like a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that is with like a huge asterisk of I hate what they did to the lore. They made the lore so much more Christian, which is absurd to me because it's the same people. So why give up all the Eastern influences randomly? I don't know. I have my beef with Korra. I do really like season 3 and 4 Korra. Their villains alone were great. Yes, the villains help. The villains are good in season 3 and 4. Kuvira also has like the only coherent plan any villain's ever had in Avatar. Because her goal is that she's running fascism in the Earth Kingdom. I forget what you'd actually call it, but basically. And her plan is kill the water avatar so that the new avatar is born and raised in her police state. That's smart. That's like the only genuinely good plan for fighting the avatar ever presented. One step below is Fire Nation in the OG series. Kill the airbender and then kill all the waterbenders. It's a bit more complicated, but, it still would have worked. Possibly. But Kuvira's makes like a ton of sense and is a very logical way to go about the Avatar problem. But yeah. I feel like most people rank Korra's seasons best to worst 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh, do they? Oh, so I'm right. Okay. Well, then everyone go tell Dani Mata he's a goddamn idiot. The Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 had a good game adaptation, I believe. My version of that game glitched out so much I gave up playing it. Oh yeah, I hated the whole good versus evil thing instead of just being about balance. Exactly. Introducing evil Avatar was so fucking dumb. If it's about balance, I just... Anyway. Well, at least I loved Avatar 1. I do love Avatar 1. That is a bright spot in the new lore. I get mad at people who don't understand reincarnation, though, because somehow people watched Korra and left thinking that, like, the Avatar is the person, what's her fucking name, Rava chooses. No. It's still reincarnation. I see so many people like, Yue would have been the Avatar if not for Aang. No. It's reincarnation. Rava says to Wan at the end of that episode, I will find you in all of your lifetimes. It is Wan reincarnating and Rava finding him. That is what the Avatar is. It is always one guy. Same guy. Same soul, I guess. Different guy because souls. But that's what it is. And yeah. So that's my beef with that side thing. What do you wish for the next Avatar animated series? It's going more fantastical, which is kind of the opposite direction I would have liked, honestly, but I'm on board for it. I'm interested to see, like, I want to have some level of realism left, is I guess what I want to see out of the new one, because the idea is, like, now it's been, like, 100 more years, it's been years of the spirit world being open with the real world. We're in vague fantasy land now. I don't want Middle-earth. I like Eastern influences. I like that they lived just like in Asia. Bring that back. One of the things I don't like about Korra is it's set in New York City for some goddamn reason, complete with a Statue of Liberty. Make it Eastern again. That's my one big wish. And I know it's two white guys. But the first series is so good about it. The Dark Avatar was supposed to be something that flips the table and forces change, and then became the Antichrist by accident. See, like, if it was more of like a Shiva... Hold on. If it was more of like a Shiva thing, I could get behind it more. It's presented so clearly as Satan, and I don't abide. Have you ever heard of the really obscure MCU shows like Cloak and Dagger and Runaways? They're not MCU. They like live in the same bubble of weirdness as like Legion and shit. Especially Runaways. Runaways is a Hulu show, which is a whole other ball of wax. But yes, I've heard of them. What did you think about the execution of the implementation of technology? This is another thing I got in a fight with Danny about when we talked about this. I like that. I think that's fair. Just because you're Eastern influenced, which I do like in the first show, does not mean you need to exist entirely in the past, I think. And like, I think that's where you get into like the sort of the weebification of it, about like how a lot of times Western people can only conceptualize Chinese, Japanese, like that kind of culture in a 1300s mindset. But we see the Industrial Revolution peaking, like not peaking, but starting in the original Avatar: Last Airbender. And if you just think about the difference between like 1820 and 1920, or 1920 and 2020, 100 years is a time where a lot of development can happen. And I liked the idea that they took this like fantasy world and they were like, these 100 years was this development. We had the Industrial Revolution. We are a little more advanced now. I just don't like that then it became Western. Like, I don't like the idea like because technology kicked off, now it's New York City. Like, it could still be fucking Tokyo, you know? Like, that's my beef with that. But the idea of we had the Industrial Revolution, technology's advanced crazily in the last 100 years, I thought was goated. I wish more fantasy stories did that. What I've always wanted to see was to skip the Earth Kingdom one, because Earth Kingdom avatars live a long time. I don't know, 300-year long Earth Kingdom one, and then do Cyberpunk Fire Nation avatar. That's what I want to see. But yeah. So that's my, I guess, nuanced take on the technology of Legend of Korra. I like that they did it. I don't like that they still kind of fell into that trap of, oh, because we advanced the tech, now it can no longer be Eastern, because Eastern people live in the 1300s. I don't like that at all. Nick, do you think Spider-Man bad and Avengers Doomsday will be good? Oh, that doesn't say bad. This is Brand New Day. And Avengers Doomsday will be good. I have hope for Spider-Man. I have almost no hope for Doomsday. Doomsday, there's too many people. It's going to be a cameo fest. I think they learned all the wrong lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine. Would you ever consider doing another video essay on who's a mutant, who's not? Because there are still a few big ones like Multiple Man's Weirdness and Devil Dinosaur being a mutant dinosaur. Honestly, that video's already aged terribly. They keep changing shit on me. I should have addressed the changeling of it all, but I forgot. You ever read Mistborn? I have not. Do you like the new Ultimate Universe X-Men? I do. My Happy Marriage is an interesting take on fantasy, Industrial Revolution, and era Japan. What is that? The book? Show? Talk to me. Did you like the Avatar live action show? No, actually, this started because I was ranting about how much I hated it. Yeah. It's a shame that they have twins and aren't bringing back the Dark Avatar as a counterpart. It's literally right there and they miss opportunity. No, good, leave him. Leave that fuck-ass Dark Avatar in the back. I hate it. I hate him. I hate what they did. I don't need that. The only good thing about Rava, I will say, is I like that they explained what the Avatar is the Avatar of. I think in the original show, he's meant to be the Avatar of, like, the Earth. Like, there's something very natural about the Avatar in the original show. And natural in, like, the naturalistic sense, not in, like, you know what I mean. And I think I liked that idea, but it was always kind of vague what he was the avatar of. Because to be an avatar is to be an avatar of something. Now he's the avatar of Rava. That's fine. I get that. That's okay. I don't need a dark one. Actually, speaking of new Ultimates, how are we feeling about that ending next year? I'm fine with it. This is why I never got that invested. I never read Ultimate Spider-Man because I was mad at it. And everyone was like, oh, you got to read it. You got to, because it's the best Spider-Man. I'm like, but he's going to be gone. He's going to be eviscerated out of continuity forever. And we're never going to be able to see him in anything. I think the idea for Ultimate Spider-Man of a superhero who already has a wife and a family and gets powers at like 30-something is so interesting. And it was wasted on doing the 500th variant of Spider-Man. It should have been a new fucking guy. And I'll die on that hill. Even in the Ultimate Universe. If they could have done that, then they could have swung him over. But how many variants of Peter Parker are we going to keep swinging over to the new universe? I got too many. Someone said earlier, I wasn't aware you hated anything. Apparently, you've never just seen me rant on live, because this has just been a list of things I despise. It should have been one is the avatar of order and the dark one chaos. Again, yeah, if it was more of a Shiva thing where, like, evil is necessary in the world for balance, like, that's the thing I think a lot of people miss. And I do think the original Atla does a good job at it. It's like, the goal of balance is not good conquers evil. It is that you have balance. And I think Atla has that to a degree. Korra can't comprehend that. It's got to be light wins, darkness banished. Like, I'm like getting hoarse yelling, and I still have half of a movie I have to react to after this. You know what would be cool? If they had skipped the Earth Avatar and had Megacorps be created first by the Avatar as a counterweight to the nations being too powerful, then it grew out of control. I don't know about the Megacorp capitalist thing, but I do agree with skipping the Earth Avatar. Give me my cyberpunk firebender. I want it. We're never getting it now, because now we're in like full fantasy in the Earth Kingdom. That like makes sense for how Korra worked, but I want it. Who's a video game character you think could be a good comic character? I mean, like Marvel or DC are not necessarily get comic run like Sonic did with our. What? I'm sorry, I can't read today. My vote is Dante from DMC. I don't know what any of that meant. What's a video game character you think could be a good comic character? That's what we're gonna stick with. I don't know if these already exist, but does the Infamous have a comic? It feels like a comic. I would read an Infamous comic. Never skip the Earth Avatar. We can have a Kyoshi too. That's why you skip the Earth Avatar, in my opinion. I like Kyoshi, but I like Kyoshi more as a concept. I never read her books. Maybe I should read the Kyoshi books. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. But I feel like she's a good past character. Cyberpunk fantasy would be the coolest setting idea. Dragon, business tycoons, etc. Exactly. Nick, do you think Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse and Avengers Secret Wars... Oh, they just deleted the message. I was reading it. Should Cyberpunk Firebender have blue fire? Maybe. Yeah, no. Yes? I don't know. I think it would be so interesting, especially with like how long will have passed at that point. If you do, the Earthbender lives like 300 years, then it would be Aang born, 100 years pass, pops back out of the ice, 60 more years pass. That's 160. I don't know how old Korra lives to be. Let's say like another 100. That's 260. You say the Earth Avatar lives like another 300 years. That's 560 years. And then hop another like 15 so the guy can be a teenager for the show. You're looking at about 600 years has passed since the Fire Nation was like the big bad. And the Fire Nation guy is now the Avatar again. The first one since Roku 600 years ago. That's so fucking interesting to me. What is 600 years ago from now? The 1400s? Like, imagine that. Imagine that shit. That's what I'd like to see. I think the next firebending Avatar is a goldmine. What do you think about how they treated Azula at the end of Atla? At the end of Atla, I liked it. In the comics after, I think they went a little too hammy. They made her like just like, oh, I'm crazy, Hawaii, I'm in a straitjacket all the time. I didn't like that as much, which is like I do like the comics a lot, but the Kyoshi books are, in my opinion, is the best Avatar content I've ever consumed. But a Kyoshi 2 is kind of a misunderstanding of her. There shouldn't be another one of her. I will take your word for it. Oh no, oh no, you all saw that, right? The lighting got so different. Fuck. The second half of my Generation X video is going to be a different color. What I'd love for the new Avatar show... Also, it shows my audio is peaking like every other word. Is this like hell to listen to? What I'd love for the new Avatar show is since Korra established that Rava couldn't be destroyed, that Valu is still existed, and the next Avatar absorb Valu along with Rava to truly have balance. Okay, you won me over a little at the end. You won me over a bit at the end. But again, I think it goes against the concept of the Avatar. The Avatar is Rava finding Wan in every one of his lifetimes. I do not believe, or I guess now Korra, because she cut off the line, but whatever. I do not love the idea of like just sucking up God's beings. Audio is fine, you're good, audio is good. Okay, yeah, I don't know why it's showing me that it's hitting peak every 10 seconds. Do you think a Moon Knight with the Midnight Mission show would work? Yes, I do. I think that would be a very fun show. What's Generation X? Generation X, here, as a comic, is essentially the 90s answer to the New Mutants in the 80s. They were like, we need a new student class. And so it's Emma and Banshee teaching a new class of students. Jubilee's on it. She's like the most famous one originally. But they were trying to make a TV show. And they failed. And so they reworked the TV show into a straight-to-DVD movie. Or a straight-to-TV movie. And that movie also came out a little over a year after the first issue of this series. So I don't know what the fuck they were doing. And it's the movie I'm reacting to. Did you know the original voice of Mario Charles Martinet did the voice of one of the main dragons for Skyrim? No, but that's fun. I do know Charles Martinet. He's a cool dude. I don't know him personally. I know of him. I love Banshee. Generation X is like the one major thing he's done after the giant-sized X-Men. He has his own like X-Force at some point, doesn't he? This is definitely bigger, though. I'm pretty that every Avatar was supposed to be an improvement on the previous one. Yeah, sure. I think that's also just factored into reincarnation. I think what you'd really do is like... This is my other issue with Avatar. It's like, at the end of the day, it is made by two white guys, and it is like... Sometimes they're going more for vibes than the actual stuff that people just believe in. But I think the real next step you do with the Avatar in terms of reincarnation is you explore the idea of moksha. My being half white is coming out. Let's see here. Moksha. Yes. But that is the being freed from reincarnation. That is like the goal of Hinduism, to put it, watered down, is you get reincarnated constantly. And then eventually, if you truly become enlightened and you like surpass material beings, or material wants and interests or whatever the fuck, material desire, then you achieve moksha and you stop being reincarnated. You become one with the universe forever. Personally, I find it to be a terrifying concept, but yeah. So I think that's what you like explore next. Even that's honestly how I think you excuse Rava, is you make Rava be like the big god, like the thing that all of the universe is, and then it's get reabsorbed into her, and then you end the fucking series. But then, of course, you would end the fucking series, and that would be bad for money. Honestly, I'd love to see how the comics do more with the skin post-Krakoa. Dude needs his moment. He's having a good showing in this movie, weirdly. Is that what happened to Iroh? Maybe. I forget what the explanation of Iroh is. It's what happens to Obi-Wan, famously. Because Star Wars is the other thing that's taking from all of this. The Force is Atman, or Atman, whatever you call it, the big god. Basically, that everything is and everything touches. And so Obi-Wan, when he dies, becomes... It's why Luke also has to like give up his personal desires and then just doesn't. That's the only thing that annoys me about both Star Wars and Avatar, is they touch on something that is touched on in like Hindu mythology, or belief, of like, you give up physical desires, but you also have to give up the mental ones. Like any connection at all that is material and like is a thing that separates you from just being one with God is not like you need it to go away in order to become one with God. And so that's like the give up Katara, give up your friends. And both both Luke and Aang are told that they have to do this in order to achieve, enlightenment. Both don't do it and then are both fine. And I think that's a bit of a cop-out. Why didn't you do a pre-show today? I was filming. I'm busy. Honestly, I don't know if I can keep going with doing an hour pre-show and an hour post-show. And the post-shows are more fun at this point for me. Isn't that the whole thing about how an airbender achieves flight? Yes, I think it is. Because his like girlfriend dies, and that's how they get around that one for him. Have you ever dipped into One Piece? No. No, Iroh moved to the spirit world and stayed there. I feel like conceptually that's the same concept in terms of Avatar logic. Ugh. That's the point. You can't be the Avatar and achieve enlightenment. They're incompatible. No, I understand that. Like, I think the conversation with Yang Chen in the finale of Avatar, I think the first series gets this. It just annoys me that there are no genuine consequences for both Luke and Aang when they're told you will never be able to do this unless you do it, and then they don't do it, and then they can do it after. It's like you will never be a Jedi, except he is. You will never be able to go back to the Avatar state, except you can. Annoying. This is a real nuanced thing. Not nuanced, niche thing. Like I nitpick. That's the word. It's a real nitpick. I have no real beef with the original Avatar series. I think the original Avatar series is one of the best television shows of all time. My beef with the mythos comes from Korra. Did you know the movie Mean Girls is why the word irregardless is in the dictionary? No. Now for a question for you. What would you want to see for a chaotic version of the elements? Nothing. I don't know. I'm not good at coming up with stuff. I'm a very non-creative individual, I feel like. Since the spirits are walking the earth, do you think we'll see Yue again? Maybe. That'd be fun, actually. I don't know how much time has passed. Does anyone know the level of which... How many years have passed between Korra? Like, how old did Korra get before kicking the bucket? I know for Korra, like, for the show Korra, they had Aang die early. And they said it was because of, like, the ice or whatever. So he only lives to be 60. Which is kind of sad, if you think about it. Now that I'm, like, knocking up towards 30, I'm like, wow, that's not that much time. What do you think of the Pixar movie Elemental? I liked Elemental. I think people didn't give it a good enough shot because of the like premise. And I was one of those people. I was like fire guy like water or fire girl like water guy. That's what we got going on here. But it being a story about immigration, didn't expect, should never have doubted Pixar. We see UA every night. That we do. What I want to see from the like adult movie that's coming out is Sokka's death. I don't know how you'd get there already, but like fast forward if you need to closer to Korra time. Maybe do like a bunch of adult movies, and so then they get to be old people near the end. But I want to see how Sokka dies because the moon probably out, My beef with Avatar is how they cope out of giving Aang a moral dilemma where everyone tells him one thing and they just Leo pseudo ex machina. Yeah, well, that was kind of what I was saying earlier. I agree with that. I've seen people say Korra died at like 36, but I don't know what the actual source for that is, so it might just be something somehow someone made up. Hopefully not. I hope they don't just kill Korra off that crazily. Like, I like the time jumps. That is a part I do enjoy about this franchise. And I would like to see, like, oh, now we've had 100 years of spirit worldness. Doesn't the Red Lotus kill him? Yeah, Sokka been dead. I know. Didn't I just say I want to see his death scene? I'm aware he's dead. I want to see how it happened. Because I feel like there will be a very sad shot where he looks up at the moon. Because the moon is probably out. I want to see how it occurred. To my knowledge, he is said to have died shortly before the events of Korra. I think there was some comment to Katara about it in one of the very first episodes. So he's there till near the time that he would have been helpful.
See, it really frustrated me they killed Sokka off screen because he has such an interesting character and they had an interesting place in the group and they just threw him away.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Korra, the other thing with Korra is it wanted to be more of a superhero show and it did not know how to incorporate non-benders. For having an entire season about like the way non-benders are treated, after that, it went and completely treated non-benders horribly. Just on like a meta level. Like writing Sokka out, dumb. Suki never being mentioned, dumb. Like, even, like, they never have, like, their Sokka. It's I guess, supposed to be Asame, but she's never, like, that relevant to the plot in that same capacity. It's always like, oh, the non-benders get away so we can do our superhero action, which goes against the entire premise of Sokka. What do you expect from the Avatar film? I expect the Avatar film to be a backdoor to a live-action Avatar adult film. If you look at the casting, someone pointed this out to me, it's not my original idea, but if you look at the casting, especially with like Steven Yeun playing Zuko instead of Dante Basco, the casting looks primed for a live-action adaptation. Everyone is the correct race, which is good, but uncommon in voice acting, and they all look like they could just play the characters. And I think that is what they're going to do. They'll have the cartoon, and depending on how that goes, greenlight a live-action adult gang movie. And I do kind of love that idea.
I think it also didn't help that Korra kept being canceled at the end of like each season and then coming back.
Oh, that definitely didn't help it. No, that was a real issue for them.
Arguably, Vernick was pretty relevant as a non-bender too.
Again, no. Like, he's in the show. That's true. But in terms of being significant to the story, the entire point of Vernick's character is that he's not. And that they continually have to bail him out. Like, Bolin is, like, straddled with Vernick. It's not the same at all.
Honestly, I just want to see Zuko's family slowly just becomes the Avatar's guardians through their rebirths.
That would be neat, too. Ugh.
Can you talk about the time Gambit used a rifle? Because nobody talks about that time Gambit used a rifle. I don't know what time Gambit...
I know the time Gambit used a pistol. What time does Gambit use a rifle? Remind me.
Have you ever heard seeing Aang be too busy being an avatar to be a father would be nice instead of getting told about it?
That's the other thing. I agree with that. A lot of people get mad. I think a lot of people get upset when characters don't grow up to just be their child selves, but taller. And I think that that's not fair. The other thing that gets me is Toph as a cop. I think that makes total sense. A lot of people are like, Toph hates authority. She doesn't hate when she's authority. She doesn't mind that. And if you rationalize, like if you just think about the fact that these four made this town, of course Toph was the one stopping people from doing crime and then eventually just became a police organization. That makes infinite sense. And then when she got bored, she left. That's perfectly aligned to Toph with me. I think they made a Republic City. She started fucking over people who were fucking over the city as like a favor to Egg, and then accidentally became a cop, got annoyed, and then left and became a hermit. That is the complete Toph trajectory of life. I see all of that happening. Similar with Aang. I think Aang was obsessed with airbending, especially in the comics, to be fair. Post-Atla, the comics deal more with his, like, obsessed with the airbenders concept that isn't as present in the show, but he's obsessed with his airbenders. He has an airbending son. I think it makes total sense. He accidentally neglects the other two.
Toph frequently used intimidation to get away to Atla. Of course, she became a cop.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. The thing that always gets me, the biggest critique is Toph hates authority. She does not mind when she's the authority. In fact, I'd argue her hatred of authority extends only until she gets to be it. Like, she wants to be an authority all the time.
I think it's important to show characters that are good people but bad parents, and vice versa, and all other combinations.
I fully agree.
I really don't like how they portray the spirits of Korra and how they're good and bad instead of giving them nuances like the first series. Fully agree. Do. I know that clearly Katara was the only original character who was supposed to be alive because in season 1, Korra says Aang is dead, Sokka is dead, and all of her friends are dead. I mean, yes, I think Toph being alive is a retcon. I think Zuko being alive was always intended. Maybe Katara just wasn't counting him. But I think Toph being alive was they needed somebody for that moment. Toph doesn't like being told what to do. She loves telling you what to do. Exactly. Old pensioner Toph was the same height as child Toph. That's adorable. Toph's point of view. We built this place for the people. I protected people from the people. Now I'm leaving because I'm tired of people. Exactly. And is that not the most Toph thing? On the non-bender thing, it also fucks over the Korra-Sami pairing because like they had a character that could have played a much more of a role. Exactly. To be fair, I think she thinks Toph is dead. Does she? Don't they have like... They never meet in the series. I know that. But don't they have like a moment where they like address this? It's been so long since I've seen Korra, but I feel like they had a moment where Katara's like, yeah, Toph. Also, I feel like what they did to Katara was dirty, too. Like, I guess she's old. There's the one line Toph has that is about Katara, when she's like, oh, this is why you didn't see Katara getting involved in the North and South War, because we're old, and like, fuck it, you kids can handle this shit. I liked that. I like that soft, like, we have to explain why we didn't use this character at all. But I do hate Katara becoming grandma, because that's what it is. Like they wanted to have the version of Grandmama from the original series, and they're like, oh, it'd be cute if in this version it's Katara. She even looks like her, which is like rational, but still. But I hate, because I feel like so much of Katara's journey is that she doesn't want to just become Grandmama, and it kind of sucks that for your own like cosmic parallels, you ruined that arc. Thoughts about Toph being a kid. Kind of mid-shitty mom? Yes, I think it's wonderful. Toph would also be a terrible parent. Of course she would. As someone from a small town, it was the most shit disturber students that talked about becoming cops. Exactly. No, for real, I also think water would have been the most old people friendly bending. I feel like if it was presented as she's doing this, like she's become this chill healer at 80, like since Aang died, I think I would have been more on board. But it's kind of presented that she's just kind of been doing this for decades, and I don't like that as much. Like, I think we should have seen any level of impact that she had on the world outside of being a healer at the Water Tribe. Because we know Sokka is like the chieftain and like council man or something in Republic City. I forget what. We know everything Toph did. She made the police. She has her metal benders and everything. We know obviously what Aang did. Katara, greatest role that like ever gets a flashback, ever gets like mentioned, like, oh yeah, is healing and babies. She had babies. She had 3 babies. Good for you. Surely she did more. And I would have been fine with her being a healer at 80 if it was like, oh yeah, and also here's the Katara wing of everyone learns like Katara martial arts now. Like, you know, like I would have been fine with something like that. I hope in the new series we see a variation of air bending that's bending sound. Me too. I really want sound bending. I want sound bending really bad. What are your thoughts on watching Doom Patrol to see how it inspired the X-Men? I like it. That's not a bad idea. In the comics, Katara is like the main bending teacher of Korra, and it's so sad we never see it in the show itself. That is sad. I didn't know that. That's really sad. Would have been kind of cool if Katara showed up and schooled Amon in bloodbending. Yes, that would have also been really neat. I would have also been on board for that. Just anything. Anything to suggest that she lived a life, I guess, is my thing. Because everyone else does kind of feel like they lived a life. Katara does not. Amon would have destroyed Kara. Hard disagree. Hard disagree. Isn't there a flashback in the Amon season where they bloodbend him? Like, doesn't that actually happen? Am I making that up in my brain right now? Like, he's like running
you know, and then like, he freezes. Isn't that a thing? And then it's like Katara being like, oh, I'm not supposed to do this anymore or some shit. This is so vivid in my brain if I'm making it up. But I have not seen the show in maybe 5 years. I think we saw some of Sokka's legacy. It would be a nice thing. I admit I didn't watch the full show. Having him and Suki not do anything after feels a little weird. He is shown in flashbacks, to be fair. Like Sokka is told, we're told what he did. He became chieftain, and he was also like a part of the council or whatever that made Republic City. And we see one scene of like him on like the council. His brother tried to bloodbend him, and he just tanks it. Oh. It's his dad that gets bloodbent. Okay, well, thank you. All right, it is 1:00. I have got to go. This has been a very fun pre-show. I don't know how we ended up talking about Avatar for so much of it, but I think you're all lovely people. I will be back on Monday for the live show extravaganza after we wrap X-Men Evolution. Right now, I gotta drink a lot of water, but then I gotta finish filming my Gen X video for Patreon.